I'm John Thackston, CEO of SOAR Performance Group. I'm here with longtime friend and customer Chris Holden. So, Chris, thanks for being with us today. And can you give us some quick background on yourself as well as Recorded Future?
Sure. My name is Chris Holden, longtime Chief Customer Officer at Recorded Future. I've been in the company as we grew and scaled from a handful of people to about 1,000 people in the company, 2,000 customers around the world, and sort of built ourselves out as the market leading cyber threat intelligence capability in the world.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think you're the only person I know who has gone on the journey of being your company's first CSM to Chief Customer Officer that has experienced the full scale that you have. So, that's a tremendous accomplishment.
Thank you. There must be some others out there that have started as like the first to do everything and then sort of broken it up into functional responsibilities, but I appreciate it.
We've worked together now. I was looking at it for almost 7 years. And when we first started working together, what was the original problem that you guys were trying to solve when you engaged SOAR?
Yeah. So as an intelligence company, we built a lot of our resourcing and our customer success program and hired a lot of people that were basically practitioners of this craft. They had spent their career in the intelligence community in different like practice of intelligence and not so much in the practice of working in a software as a service business or working in a customer success role. So we hired for like tradecraft and skills that matched our customer profile and persona so that they could best translate the product capabilities to the needs of the customer, which is amazing. At the same time, there was a real need to get some, I'll call it sort of like professionalism around the practice of customer success and what those like activities look like, what the skills and the behaviors and the communication patterns look like for a customer success manager, and to kind of marry up the practical like skills of the discipline that our people had with what we needed from them to sort of work best as a practice of a customer success person in a software company. And I think some of the things we initially started was to create some routines around like how to do discovery of customer requirements, how to think about the process around like intake of those requirements. The we always remember the pressures, pains concept, and that still lives on years later in Recorded Future. And some of those things just orient our people around how to like behave and practice as customer success people while also best applying the sometimes like years worth of career experience in the discipline that our customers are in.
The analogy one of our colleagues uses is I don't know if you've seen the movie. Have you seen the movie Miracle, the Miracle on Ice movie?
Sure, of course.
So the when they made that movie, what they figured out was it was easier to hire hockey players and teach them how to act than it was to hire actors and teach them how to become hockey players. And so people that are in that movie are actually hockey players. And so in a lot of ways, y'all sort of embraced the principle, which is like y'all hired people who were experts at the hardest thing to get, which was the trade craft around Recorded Future. And then a lot of the work we did together was helping them build the skills and capabilities to best engage with your customers as y'all became like a truly enterprise grade platform.
I think you nailed it. That's exactly right. I don't think we're totally unusual in that regard. I think other companies and peers of mine that I've interacted with over the years, I've seen others do similar types of staffing and building up of teams. I think one of the things that was interesting in that, I guess through years of this, is that I think at the time there was part of me that was a little bit like these people that have practice in this sometimes somewhat technical discipline,
Yes.
but really like a trade, right? Like
Yes.
there was part of me that was in like had this worry in my mind that like this was not going to be honest, was not going to be like interesting for them to practice this kind of customer success work. And it's pretty remarkable how it was the complete opposite reaction from almost every person in the team. There was like a deep interest in trying to learn how to use like to develop skills to help them be successful in the role, not just like further practicing the things that they already knew very well as practitioners of their field. But there's so much appetite for people to be like, how do I apply this better in the position of a customer success manager, and how do I get better at that? And I was blown away that there were people who were like collections managers from the intelligence community, targeting officer, like there were people with those kinds of like military backgrounds who were deeply interested in like, how do I get better at the practice of customer success? And it was very cool, and it still is, right?
And yeah, very much so. And I remember even a lot of the early work with your team, like there were people that had been working at very, very serious security jobs that
Absolutely.
really embraced a lot of the work that we did together. Then on that note, Chris, just talking about the kind of the partnership and how it's continued. So that was about 7 years ago now. How has the partnership continued to evolve over that period?
Yeah, we were just starting with some like basic foundational, like how do I get, I don't know, what do you it was probably maybe 2 dozen people. Maybe it wasn't quite that big, but like
Like
something like that.
I remember we all fit in one room. Like
We all
let's
fit
just
in
put it
one
that
room.
way.
One room's worth of people, right? And trying to get them to some sort of level of consistency and like common vocabulary, common constructs for us to work together and like build upon, like some baseline basically. Um, I think since then we've learned that a lot of the work that our teams do, one of the big areas was around this area of understanding how to do discovery as a practice. You can't really deliver on a customer success outcome unless you're super clear on what the outcome is that the customer's after, what their sort of operating conditions are, what their limitations are, what their constraints are, like, and all of that comes from like a good practice of curiosity, discovery, like sussing out that information so that you can then act on it. So I know we really focused in a lot on that. We took things global over time. But that initial room full of people was in Boston. And we had some people who had flown in, but that group grew from about 20 or so, the one room's worth, to there are probably about 100 people in the organization around the world in different roles, from customer success to onboarding to program management, that are all under the same umbrella, but largely require a lot of the same foundational skills and training and concepts. Um, so yeah, I think just the really scaling it out from a relatively small group that mostly was practicing things together to something where there are a bunch of these teams around the world now who, for the most part, they don't interact with one another on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, but we Record a Future have needed them to operate with the same approach, the same concepts, the same program effectively. And you've helped us build out, design that program and instrument it in a way that has allowed the team in Singapore to execute in a similar manner to the team in London, to the team in Dubai, to the team in Boston. And I think that that's been a really interesting journey and an effective bunch of outcomes in working with you in the SOAR group.
And then I think the other big piece that y'all have scaled too is y'all scaled both geographically, but y'all also scaled out the product a lot. So I think about when we first worked together, it was basically one product, and now I think you have 9 modules. And so I think the other thing that happened on that journey was you scaled geographically, but you also scaled a lot what was required from the CSM in terms of the skill set to engage their customers based on the breadth and depth of product offering as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the product suite on the journey that Recorded Future has been on went from effectively one product to 9. That has its own challenges and sort of demands on a customer success organization. Like, how do you think about focusing some of those people in one area versus another? Are the routines slightly different for one versus the other? One of the other things that you've helped us with is I'll call it like a bifurcation of professional services, which our customers license and pay for, and sort of a common denominator customer success program that we run for all of our customers. That also was something that has evolved over the time that we've been working together, where we basically didn't have really a concept of paid professional services distinct from customer success. And over the last 6, 7 years, we've figured out and designed what the business wants to go to market with as a paid offering, as a value add service expansion concept, versus what we want to provide for every single customer as a baseline experience that provides what they need to accomplish the sort of essential outcomes in deploying our product. And that has been not the easiest thing to do. And I think with some of your guidance and sort of structuring around what best practices in customer success look like have helped inform us about what we want our customer success program to be versus what we want to go to market with as a paid professional service.
And thanks for sharing that, Chris. And then the other question I had is just as you think about your experience working with us, it's obviously been a great, long and successful partnership. What are some of the things you've enjoyed about working with our team?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that stand out just in particular. I mean, in general, we've really appreciated how much energy you and the teams put into understanding who we are as a business, as a team, where we are in our like program's evolution. I'm sure there are much different experiences where it's like, hey, you're looking for help. This is our consulting program. This is what we do. Like, I don't really care who you are. Like, this is what the program is. So like deal with it. And I hope it helps you. And it has been the furthest to the other side of the spectrum always in working with you, which has helped us immensely, which is like help us understand where you're at, who your people are, what their skills are, where the gaps are, like you understanding who our customers are and what the market looks like in terms of the dynamics, the maturity of the market, how it's ready to handle products like ours. And like all of those pieces they inform how we need to go and skill up our team and how we need to design our programs. Because if you're absent any of those, then like we really aren't designing it in a way that's reality. I think you and the teams have always helped us do these exercises and do these engagements in a way that reflects the reality, combined reality of like who we are, what the market is like, and what our products are in terms of an offering, and like match those up so that in the moment that we do these engagements and we work with training and consulting with you, it just best reflects what is real instead of it being this sort of like made up fake theoretical exercise, right? And I think that's one thing that's important to capture in this is that as we've gone about as we've done these engagements over years, uh the content has evolved. It's like if we were doing the same thing today working with you that we were doing 7 years ago, then it's like, okay, this is really pretty theoretical. Like we're not dealing in reality anymore, right? And I think you've always been incredibly focused in the preparation and the like interviewing the team members, interviewing leadership, understanding like what we're really trying to get out of these engagements in a way that then makes it very practical and applicable for at least some period of time, right? And then we come back in 6 months or a year later, we revisit it and we check on the previous content. But I think that's always been something that not just myself in the leadership, the like sort of top leadership role, but I know that that's something that like my direct reports who are responsible for the people in the field value to a great degree because it makes them feel confident that they're people in the field who have the hardest job, like the CSM who's out there. That is the hardest job, and it makes sure that this kind of like training, learning and development programs, like these things are reflective of their reality and aren't going to land at their feet. And they're like, guys, like what? This doesn't help me because it's not tied to what the work is. And it's always given us a great deal of confidence that the response from the front line is going to be positive because it's really informed by them and by what, like all those things I mentioned, the market, our business, like what it is. So that's something that you all have always been really clued into. And it's obvious in the way that you go about your work in preparation and readiness and confirming the content and designing scenarios that we work with together, that it's really rooted in who your customers are as an organization and as a business. So that's always been incredibly helpful.
Final question, Chris. The what have been some of the results you all have seen through the work that we've done together over the years?
Yeah. I mean, there are just a couple of things to call out. I always like affectionately like to refer back to some of the way that our CSMs, our customer success people, that they worked. Was that we had a lot of artists in our field, and I love artists. But like when you get into a scaling business, if you have too many people who are doing their own interpretations of what the job is going to be, then your results tend to be highly variable depending on the person and their behaviors and how they feel about how they should be doing their job. And one of the results, and we continue to have our our playbooks, our process design is largely influenced and instructed by the work that we've done with you. And what we've said is like, hey, you should continue to use your skills and expertise and the practice that you bring as like we started at the beginning, like your career of practice and experience. But we want you to operate in the following ways. Like this is how you should go about your job, right? And the level of consistency that that has brought to how we go and like execute the different stages of customer success has really smoothed out what otherwise was like a highly variable experience for our customers and for ourselves to like measure how we have our CSMs doing their work. So I think that establishing a consistent set of expectations, a routine that we can measure our people and then go and measure the impact downstream for customers has been one of the biggest success stories and outcomes.
Well, thank you, Chris. I just want to say thanks for one, the long term partnership, and two, you taking the time to share some of your experience working with us today. And excited to continue on in the future. So have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being so such a consistent, reliable, and trusted partner for us at Recorded Future. Everybody in the team knows the work that you all do. I think pretty much everyone in our 100-person plus organization has been through at least a small amount of programming that you've designed and that you and the teams have designed and put together. And it's really been a really fruitful and extraordinary sort of partnership between the businesses over many years. So thank you very much. And we're looking forward to more too.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.